And it says I'm live. I'm alive. I'm alive. I survived. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Please send a note in the chat if I can come in loud and clear. As you notice, I've got a different mic this time. So hopefully I'm a little bit louder and clearer than last time. Maybe I'm not live. Ah, there we go. Okay. Thank you. Had me worried for a second. 5x5. Yes. Every time I see that, I think aliens. When they're in a drop ship. Anyways, hello, everybody. Welcome to the HobbyView Christmas special. Well, it's probably not Christmas yet. It's not so special. But anyways, I thought I'd have one last live show before the holidays because I'm about to start another project. And before I mess up the workshop too much, although it's already starting to slowly creep up, I thought I'd have a nice live show for everybody. And I'm alive. We had just finished the convergence just by chance. I happened to set the time a few minutes after the planetary convergence, and no, my DNA is just fine. It hasn't changed. I haven't gained any superpowers. But hey, the world is still in one piece, so to speak, and we are ready to go. I see a bunch of people in the chat already. Richard, Connor, some guy in Sandy. Some guy in Sandy. Okay. Hey, some guy. Oh, man, some guy in Sandy. You're pretty perceptive. Daniel, Quinny Perks. Should I say? Hey, Canada. Hey, guys. Season greeting from the Caribbean. Wow, Kevin. I don't think you're the first person to join the live show from the Caribbean. Interesting. Oh, well, that's pretty nice. Hopefully it's a nice vacation there, or do you live there? Hey, Philip. Jay Wilson. And Matt Philistine from Boise. All right. I see people joining in. I'll give a few minutes for people to join in. Mr. Hal. How you doing, Hal? Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well. Hey, people are joining in. All right, Matthew. You need any superpowers? All everything walking through. Yay, Ron. Kevin, you guys are funny. My superpower is the ability to lose anything instantly. It's amazing how I can lose something. I'll put it down, and 2 seconds later, where the hell did that thing go? It's just in my hand, and I'll spend 5 minutes looking for something I had 2 seconds ago. Wow. See. Hey, Raymond. Yeah, I was listening to your live stream. I didn't know you were doing a live stream, so I happened to catch it. It's a good camera setup. Thanks for doing that. I tried looking for the convergence. I had forgotten about it, actually. And I said, oh, wait, there's a convergence going on. So I whipped out a phone app that I can find where the planets are. And it was like right on the horizon pretty much. And I don't think I could see anything. I tried pulling out the camera with the zoom lens, and because I've gotten some decent shots of the moon with the camera before, but I didn't see anything. I took a couple of blind shots. Maybe I can enhance the image and zoom in on my computer later, but I missed it other than watching it live. But I have several people I know that have been recording it with various instruments of photography, and I'm sure they will send me copious amounts of pictures of the planetary convergence in the near future. Let's see. So people are chiming in. Been there. Yeah, it's been there before one of your lives. Oh, you have, Kevin? Okay, I missed you last time. Sorry. Let's see. My phone's going nuts. I haven't watched on your channel because I have an RC car. You have an RC car? Okay. Yeah, I understand. I'm not big into RC cars anymore. I actually, early on, I actually was fairly big into RC cars. I even raced once or twice. Racing wasn't really my thing. I'm not that competitive by nature, so I just like to have fun with them. But I did have my first RC car was a Tamiya Frog I built as a teenager. I got it for Christmas one year, and that was awesome. And I used to have bits and pieces of it for a long time. Now I don't have any pieces. I thought about getting the remake they had of it. And I got through various other, when I used to work at a hobby shop, I'd buy and sell RC cars on and off. And I built a lot. Customers would come in and they didn't want to build the car. They just, I want this car here, but I don't want to build it. And this is before you can get ready to fly, ready to fly, ready to run RC cars. So they're all kits. So you have Kyosho, Tamiya, Losi, and Associated, right? Those are the big ones at the time when I was doing it. Traxxas kind of came in as I was kind of getting off to other things. And I think Traxxas were the first ones really to start coming out with ready to go. Oh, there's a few other minor ones. It was Marui and what was the other one? I forgot. There was one cheapy one that was real popular because it came ready to run. But anyway, so I built a lot of those cars. That was a lot of fun. And but now I don't really, I have a couple cars laying around. I mentioned before, I've got a gas truck that I got dirt cheap, but it's also covered in dirt. So I need to clean it up and get the engine running and stuff. And just one of those things I haven't gotten around to because I'm curious about it. Well, these days. And I got a couple of kits that I bought. I bought a Audi Quattro Rc Car. I always wanted the Tamiya one, even though it was goofy looking. And Tamiya came out with a different, newer version that's much more accurate. And I said, I got to have it. And I have it and haven't put it together. And I've got a Wild Willie, which I always wanted as a kid, which is kind of a caricature of a Jeep that does wheelies. And I always wanted one. I've got one, but it's still in the box. I haven't built it yet. One of those things like, well, I'll build it over the holidays. Well, this holiday, I've got a big project, so I ain't building nothing but this thing here. Fortunately, I really can't tell you what the project is yet. It's kind of sort of secret, but I can show you. I can tease you a little bit about it. I'll do that later in the show. So that's another reason why I want to do this live show now, so I can get this over with. That sounds wrong. So I can do this and join you guys, and then I can devote my full time over the holidays to working on the next project and stuff. And I got a minor thing to do if you saw the screens flash or something I thought you might be interested. So, I see the chat's kind of bouncing. So let me take a look, see what guys they're talking about. I was going to go ahead and get into RC planes, but the planes I want to fly is the Blue Angel F-18. Yeah, it's not something you want to start with. As far as jets go, F-18 is actually not that hard to fly, but if you're just starting, you don't want to start with that. No. So yeah, it's a stepping process. I'm looking for the perfect beginner RC plane. Any recommendations? Yeah. Turbo Timber is very good. The UMX one or even the regular one is very good. I usually steer people towards the Apprentice. They have a couple different versions. I've trained people on that one. It's very, very easy to fly. Also, people have a real good. Somebody mentioned it. I have a mini one right behind me. The Aerostar. Aero Scout. I always forget the name of that plane. They make two Aero Scouts, and there's a big one that has all the fancy AS3Xs and stabilization. That's really, really good as well. But you can learn to fly on a lot of different things as long as it's you can fly slow, usually some sort of high wing, something very stable. There's a lot. The Turbo Timber is also, I could easily teach somebody to fly in that. And somebody's mentioned a couple different smaller ones too. You certainly learn to fly in some of the UMX planes, the Turbo Timber, the Cub, I think, or Scout, Cub, Carbon Cub. They make a little UMX one. It's really good as well. Only thing with the UMX planes is they generally, they're a little more susceptible to wind. So if you're flying, I wouldn't fly anything over 5 to 10 miles per hour in those things. And it gets really hairy. But you can almost teach yourself to fly on one of those UMX planes. And somebody mentioned the Aero Scout behind me, and that is the UMX. It's not UMX. UMX is the E-Flight. That's her fly zone. But that's the mini. It's basically a UMX size Aero Scout. And that is going to be a review in upcoming Park Flyer magazine or Park Pilot. Park Pilot, the sister magazine to the Model Aviation magazine. And so I've flown around a little bit. It's a real neat little plane. It was easy to fly, real small. You can fly in a tight space. Let's see. Somebody mentioned the Valiant. Yes, Valiant is really good. Valiant's a little faster, but they make a nice foamy one. It's really good, reasonably durable. The Mall, I don't know if you could learn to fly in the Mall, but I put that further down the list. There's better planes to start with, I think. Mall is a little heavier. Very nice plane, but if you're just starting out, and somebody mentions the Habu S2S, yes, of course. Yeah, I just did a video on that one. So watch the video and you see my views on the Habu S2S as a beginner plane. Let's see. There's a bunch of stuff going on here. Have you played with the Power Up 4.0? No, I haven't, Marcus, because I have no idea what that is. Sounds like something the Power Rangers do. I'd say a giant scale with a gyro, but that's my bad idea. Well, they say bigger planes are easier to fly, right? It would be good to see more helicopters on the channel. That's interesting you mentioned that. I do fly helicopters. Now, I don't, I'm not, I'm competent, but I'm not those guys that can just stir the sticks and make the thing flop around like it's a fish out of water on speed and crack and a little bit of heroin just to mix things up. I'm more of a casual, mild 3D kind of flyer. But I do have a scale project for a helicopter that I'm working on, getting ready to work on. So maybe I'll do that. That way I don't feel as compelled to try to impress anybody with my flying ability in a helicopter. But I've been flying helicopters for quite a while. I do like them a lot. I've been kind of laxed on them, but now I've spent the past couple of weeks cleaning up the workshop, organizing, building workbenches. You see 2 workbenches behind me. I built those over the past couple of weeks. And so I've got a bunch more table space, and I'm trying to actively not clutter them up with stuff, but they are starting to slowly, I'm going to have to force myself to pull some stuff off. But but I'm actually cleaning up. You can't see it it's off to the side, but there's another table I have set up basically just for working on helicopter stuff. So now I have a dedicated space for my helicopters. Although right now there's an A10 on the table too, right next to it. But the A10 is very, very temporary. I just stuck it there for a day or two while I'm working on it. And that leads me to what I'm working on tonight. I'm actually trying to do some finishing up stuff on that bloody A10 that I keep promising I'm going to finish. And I'm working on finishing it up, but I keep getting distracted by shiny things that I want to do to it. And I'm really, really trying to finish it up. And so been working on the weapons. And so I said, well, okay, I'll work on the weapons, get them painted up, and I realized, yeah, it'd be really neat if I could do this one thing. And so I decided I'm going to do this one thing, and I'm going to do this one thing live tonight. So if I screw it up, you'll see me screw it up live tonight. So anyways, I'll get to that in a minute. Let's see, it's a helicopter. So Power 4 is a dual push prop system that you can use to fly paper airplanes or even a balsa. Oh, yes. I know it kind of sounded familiar. I have a terrible memory sometimes. I have one. I knew it. Okay, yes, I have one. Actually, somebody gave me one for a present, and it's new in the box sitting in my office. I haven't taken it up yet. Yes, you stick it to a paper airplane, and for some reason I'd forgotten that was what it was called. And it allows you to fly around on your cell phone. I think it's Bluetooth, right, or Wi-Fi. I think it was Bluetooth. I think the newer ones are Wi-Fi now, if I remember correctly. So I do have one. I just haven't gotten around to playing with it yet. Maybe over the holidays I'll play with it. But I do, yes. Now I remember. Do you have any good source of information on balsa airplane building techniques? Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube for that. Yeah. For balsa, there's the RC groups for building. It's a balsa. There's 2 things. There's a Facebook group called Balsa Builders Group, if I remember correctly. I think I remember that one. And RC Groups has a forum dedicated to building from kits. So you can look at those 2. Of course, I did 2 videos on building balsa kits. One on a QT that's hanging up somewhere. Can you see it? You can't quite see it. It's right there. And on my Electric Hub as well. So, yeah, so check those. And of course, there's probably some stuff. I think the Model Aviation magazine might have had some stuff as well. And balsa, there's lots of different things you can probably find. But definitely give it a try. Pick up a kit. Try something simple. I wouldn't try building a scale model of a Waco biplane or something like that. It might drive you crazy. try something simple, maybe with slab side. I don't know if you're talking RC or free flight or what, but there's lots of stuff out there. I always like building kits. It's funny you mentioned that. As I was cleaning up, I found a Gillow's kit. Here's one here. This is a Gillow's Spitfire. I think it's a 27-inch. And I've actually built one before, and I converted it to RC. It had a Cox 049 on it, a couple of micro servos, and a really lightweight receiver and battery, 2-channel. And I flew for quite a while, flew for years, on and off. And it flew okay, flew pretty good. And couple of years ago, I took it to an event and had a bad hand launch and kind of whacked it. But it was so old, it was so fuel soaked that it was just, if I hadn't whacked it, it would have fallen apart in the air anyways. So I figured I had my fun with it, and I just took the engine out and disposed of it. But for some reason, I had another kit. I don't know where I got it. So this is a new in the box Skills kit. And so I was thinking about doing the same thing. It was such a fun plane. I was just going to build another one and probably power it by an 049 again. Since I have other free flights, I'll do electric. But this was just kind of neat to have this little Cox-powered Spitfire. It was easier to balance with the longer nose. I did a 0 too, but I had a lot of weight to the nose for a 0, and so Spitfire was I think it was a lighter plane. And so this is old school. I'll pull it out. This is, you've got a box of, you get your plans, you got some wood. This is, I guess, one of the older ones, so all the wood is die crushed. I understand a lot of newer ones are actually laser cut now, but this is something I got picked up somewhere. And it's funny because you've got the rubber powered stuff. There's a propeller, some clay for weight, some string if you want to make it control line. It's got a little control line handle. So there's a little die and some rubber. Now, I mentioned this before. If you watch the podcast for RC Roundtable, I've talked about how this is basically how I got started in model aviation, was building Gillow kits. I built these as a teenager, before I was a teenager, back in middle school and earlier. I was, I scrounged together a few bucks and buy one of these Gillow kits and go hide in the basement and build these things. And I didn't use super glue. I didn't think I knew what super glue was. I just used wood glue out of a tube. Testers made just wood glue, and I would just put the wood glue on it, and I'd cover it with the tissue, but I'd use the same wood glue to cover it with the tissue. I didn't use dope. I didn't know what dope was, or I was interested in it. And they flew barely. Here's a tissue, as a matter of fact, tissue paper. This is what you cover it with. It's very lightweight tissue. Japanese tissue is what it's usually called, although they may come something else. So normally you would use what they call dope. It's I don't know what the stuff is. It smells terrible. It's just like a celluloid. It's very similar to use on an old fabric covered aircraft from many moons ago, and it came in a can. You'd brush it on, or you could spray it, and then you would shrink the tissue with water, and then use more dope, and that would seal it up. And so I never did all that stuff. Didn't have the money to buy dope anyways. And so since I never sealed it with dope, the tissue was very porous. You can breathe through it. I just thought about this. Might make good masks for our Corona era. And so it wasn't very good aerodynamically until you sealed it, but it was enough to fly around my front yard and that kind of stuff. Somebody's making a joke about dope. Yeah, I know. That's a terrible name for it. I don't know why they call it dope. I think the name came first before dope was dope that we know it today. Somebody's talking about the Tower Hobbies Cub. I don't know. I thought they still sold it, but they may, since Tower was bought by Horizon. I pretty much think they've gotten out of the kit business. But there's other, what do you call it? Cottage companies that are picking up the kit line. So I don't know what happened to the Electric Cub. And specifically, you can look on Tower Hobbies and see if they still have them. They may have some old stock, and I think every once in a while they'll pop up on the used market. Very nice flying plane, very easy to fly, very easy to build. Somebody mentioned Easy Dope. I actually have some Easy Dope. I haven't had a chance to use it, but I do plan on using it. I have, like I said, I have some smaller free free flight stuff. I actually want to build as a free flight, and I'm going to use this. This is nice. Supposedly, it's non-toxic, doesn't smell. That reminds me of a good story, because it was one time when I was living at home. I was in the basement, and I actually was using a little bit of dope. I tried it on something. I can't remember what it was. And my mother almost kicked me out of the house because it smelled so bad. Even though it was all the way down in the basement, it migrated up to the top of the house. She's like, "What the hell is that smell?" And I'm like, "What smell? And why are the walls moving? Why do I feel so good?" Anyways, so I just thought I'd mention that. Let's see. What else? So I didn't have a whole lot I was going to talk about tonight. I just thought I'd cover a couple things and just talk to you guys and see what was up. Let's see. Where do I want to go? So somebody guess what the splash picture was. We call it the thumbnail. Well, before I get to that, there was other thing. A friend of mine sent me some stuff. He said, "Hey, I got these some old engines. Are you interested in them?" I said, "Oh, sure." I fly mostly electric. He sent me some interesting things. For example, like this. This is an old Fox 15. I mean, this engine is ancient. This is probably dates back to the 50s. Easily. I'm not an engine expert, but I know these Foxes are pretty old. This is actually an RC one, so maybe it's a little newer. It's got a carburetor, no muffler, but it's got some weird baffle on the exhaust. And it's all seized up and stuff, but I think I'm going to unseize it. What I was really interested in, he mentioned, was this old Enya 15. This is RC. It's got a carburetor on it, and I have an old affinity for Enya engines, probably since my first RC engine was an Enya 09, and the 15 I thought was really neat. This was all seized up. If you follow my Instagram page, you saw this was in pieces. I mentioned that I had to take it apart and give it a couple of different baths and really clean it up, and it's no longer seized up. It's actually flipping quite nicely now. So I'll, at some point, probably stick it in a test stand and throw some fuel in it and see if it runs. So I was real happy to get this thing unseized. It was seized up pretty bad, but it looks like to be in really good shape. So also there's a OK Cub. It's not complete. It's missing the crankshaft, but it's just this is really ancient. This probably dates back to the 40s. For 099 size, so just under a 10 size. So this is probably just going to be a maybe put it on a plaque or excuse me, hang it on the wall or something. Just kind of a neat looking old engine. And anything else? I think there's another engine here, maybe. Yeah, there's an old torpedo something 35. So this is a free flight. And I don't know if I've ever used this or not. It just came with all the other engines. I'll probably never do anything with this particular one. Not into big free control line like this is for. So, anyways, man, sorry, people bugging me on the phone. But I got one other engine I want to show you guys before I get to the other stuff in this box. So as I mentioned before, I've got another project review that I will be doing, and I'll be working on it over the holidays, hopefully. And this is the engine that it will be using. And this is neat. This is cool. Here's muffler to give you an idea of the size. And it is a gas engine. There we go. In fact, I haven't even taken it out of the plastic yet. Let's take a look at it here. This is a EME 70cc. This is a big mother, but there's also something very special about it. Can you guess what it is? There we go. Here's a clue. Anybody guess what's so special about this particular engine? Oh, that's weird. What is that? Oh, okay. Glenn, you're 10 cc's too small. Yes, there we go. Yes, it's got electric start. Yeah, put some grease on it. So this is instead of having to flip it by hand or with an electric starter, it's got its built-in starter. So I've never had an engine with a built-in electric start, so this is going to be awesome to be able to self-start the thing. And we'll hook it up. And EME, I've not used an EME engine before. I've always had RCGF is the ones I've used before. Oh, look at this. In fact, I'm playing with it now, looking at where the choke and the throttle set up a little bit different. And there's some extra controls. This is not a light engine either. This thing's pretty meaty. Single cylinder. It's interesting because it's got this one-way bearing on it. Okay, so as it starts, it turns. But as it runs, you see the gear doesn't turn. So it's got a nice one-way bearing on it, so you're not running everything all the time. That's pretty nice. Sort of a long can 05 motor, it looks like. Just a brush motor, nothing fancy. And a dual stage reduction here, it looks like. 2-stage reduction, 4-bolt pattern, EME. So I've heard these EME engines are really quite nice. So, well, that's a big piston. We'll see. And in the fullness of time, you'll know what this will go in. And I'll do a big review of some stuff. So, look forward to that. Excuse me while I oogle this thing a little more. Got a rear carb there. There's a choke. And then the throttle is actually over here, which is interesting. Some guy, yeah. The 10 extra cc's to haul around the extra weight of the stuff. Yeah, so whatever plane I put this in should not need any noseway, right? It's got all the extra junk in the front. But I've seen these engines before in other planes, and one guy freaked me out because he was flying around and engine quit. I was like, oh, he's got to do a dead stick. And as he's just about to touch down, he flips a switch, cranks the engine back up, and flies around. It's like, oh, you little tease. So that's cool. So I look forward to playing around with that and see how well that works. And so that's my engine fun. I haven't gone completely over to the dark side, but I flirt with it, right? All right, so I'll put this back in. Yeah. Oh, gonna lose that. An ignition module with good voltage range. All right. So guys, of course, got the muffler. And whatever. Nothing ever goes in the box the way it came out, right? Whatever. Oh man, it fits so. Oh, did I put it in wrong? Oh yeah, I put it in wrong. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, well, let's get the show on the road. All right, so yeah, we got a bunch of people in the chat. Go for 18 extra CCs. Okay, so I mentioned before that I hate to say that, but maybe a couple of years ago, I did a review on a Freewing A10, and it was a great flying plane. And I said, well, I'm going to paint it, and I kind of gave a teaser. I think either my last show, I think I gave a teaser of the paint scheme, and so I'm putting the final touches on it. And one of the things I'm doing is I've been 3D printing some weaponry for it, like this AGM 65 Maverick, and among other things. And so I've been having a good time kind of changing up the weapons, the ordinances on it. and kind of just really dressing it up. And it's really close to being done, but I keep finding little nit things to do with it. And one of the things was, you notice, no missile has a blunt, flat nose like this, right? This is not right. So the person who drew this, I pulled this off of Thingiverse, and the person who drew this gave you two options. He gives you a regular, just rounded nose, or he says, well, you can use that rounded nose and add this piece on it. This is basically the optical piece, and vacuum form a clear nose using the 3D printed nose, the round nose. And I thought, I have a vacuum former machine, as you saw on the thumbnail. In fact, I'll move it over, put it over here. There you go. I think. There we go. There's Quake. All right, so this is a vacuum forming machine. I've had this for some years. I actually bought it, probably 15 years ago-ish. I had it for a long time. I used it a few times, but pretty rarely. So I almost sometimes forget I have it. But I thought, hey, maybe I'll wipe the dust off of it and the camera stand, and use the vacuum forming machine to vacuum form the nose cone for it. And what happened was I pulled it out of its storage, and it kind of fell apart. Apparently the epoxy glue joints had, I don't know, they just deteriorated from heat and life. So there's a frame that comes off, and these frames built up were 4 pieces plus the handle, and the 4 pieces had just fallen apart. The glue joints, the epoxy glue just became brittle or something. So I had to postpone doing any vacuum forming. It was last night. But I thought, well, hey, maybe I'll make a live show of me trying to vacuum form a new nose cone on there. So the glue is all dried. It's been drying for the past day and a half, or all night and half a day. So I can take all the stuff off. If you've never seen a vacuum form machine, it's a pretty neat, very simple device. So this is a top piece, and it also lifts up unhinged. So you got a perforated, it's just basically pegboard area for the air to go through. You've got a flip down piece, and you've got an attachment to hook up the vacuum. I use a shop vac or just really any house vac, which tends to work. And there's a box. It's basically just an open volume inside this box. So it works really neat. And so let me find the screws. There we go. So I went to, this past weekend, went to the hobby store and picked up some, I guess it's like cellophane. I don't know what it was. Clear plastic of some sort. So I'm hoping that it vacuum forms good. We will find out. So I picked up some large sheets, and what you do is you put the large sheet. Sorry, this camera stand keeps moving. It's neat how they did this. There's a strip of sandpaper around the perimeter, and so basically you just take the sheet, you cut it to size, you put it down there, and then you put this on top and you screw it down, and that will form a little vacuum forming assembly. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'm also going to bring over going to record this for posterity as well. Okay, so we're going to stick that in there. Put this down on there. There's a bunch of little wing nuts here. Clamp everything down. So it's funny though, I don't use this that much, but the few times I have used it, it's been really, really useful. I've made a cowl for not a free flight, for a scratch build. In fact, I've got it hanging up over there. I'll show that to you in a minute. And I've also made an oddball part I needed for the house. And I think I've done a couple other things with it. So I will never get rid of it. If anything, if I ever get rid of it, it's only because I want to get maybe one that's bigger. So hopefully everything, I want to make sure that I'm still streaming. Chat's still good. Okay, so this tightens everything down. So now the plastic is wedged in between the frame, and so I can just do that. Okay, let me move this out of the way. So I need to see how I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll do it like this. Yeah. Can you see that? Sorry, the angle is not that great. Okay, so that's the next thing I'm going to do is hook up vacuum hose. Okay, so there's that. I haven't talked about the plug. So here's the plug. This is a 3D printed plug of the nose cone that I sanded smooth. Let me move over here. Here we go. Sanded it nice and smooth. And then I added a little piece of wood on the bottom just so it stands off. You don't want to have it flush with the plate. So, and basically you just stick that sucker right on a plate there. Now, also normally I would, to heat up the plastic, this was designed, basically you would put the plastic over a stove, an electric stove that you would just heat it up and melt it, or you can stick it in the oven too or something like that. Since I moved, my stove is gas, so it's the flame coming up, so I don't dare put this over a flame. So I want to try something I don't think I've done before, and that is use a heat gun. So I'm going to take the heat gun, use the heat gun to melt the plastic, and then run it over that, just like that, all the way down, and the vacuum will suck it up. So we shall try that right now. I'm going to have to turn. I think I'm going to turn the vacuum on first, so it's already running in case. So because it all happens pretty quickly. So it's going to get kind of loud. I'll still try to talk, but you'll know what's going on when it sounds really, really loud. Okay, vacuum, don't let me down. Okay, so I can feel the air being sucked in. So let's turn this on. It's on. Hot. We'll let it heat up for a second. All right. So when I heat up the plastic, I'm going to look at it at an angle. Normally when it starts to sag, you can start to sag. All right. And I'm going to cover it. Continue to heat it. It looks pretty close. Oh, crap. All right, so I just did something I didn't think I should. Didn't realize I did until I just did it. So crud. So so it worked mostly, except I heated it up too much and I've deformed the nose cone. Whoops, there we go. I don't know if you can see it. You see how it's kind of deformed. I printed this with an infill, mostly hollow. And so I just realized as I was heating this up to try to get it, it deformed this. And so it's sort of faceted kind of looking now. So I'm going to probably have to do it again with a solid piece and maybe cover it with something, maybe a real thin Spondo or something, or just let it go over and not heat it up as it's on a piece. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So anyways, you can see it actually worked pretty well. You can see the piece here. Other than a deformation part, if you can see that, it's not too bad. So this plastic seems like it'd be do pretty good. So I'm going to take it out. Little details. This is the first time I've actually vacuum formed over 3D printed part, and I completely didn't think of the temperature. The plastic has a fairly low melting point, so another option also would be to print it in something a little more heat resistant, such as ABS or nylon, which I might do. It's come to think of it. But the nice thing about I have the file already, so it's easy to reprint it. So we'll pull this out. And take that. But it doesn't mean I can't cut it out and take a look at it. Grab my scissors real quick. Here they are. Over. Okay, so I have some scissors here. I'm going to cut this out real quick. All right. Sorry, I'm recording this for posterity. Okay, so let me trim this a little better. Let's see if I can use this piece here. Trim it. Sometimes there is a better line. I was trying to get it to pull over a little more, because as soon as you take the heat off, it cools real quickly, and it may not pull as well. It's a good thing I put the standoff on, that much of a standoff. Whoops, there we go. That I was able to pull it down. Sorry, the camera's not focusing. So a couple of things. I was worried about overheating the plastic too, using the heat gun, but that doesn't seem like that was a problem. So I know next time I'll just really heat it up a lot. In fact, you can see some of the holes, some of the indentations from the, I don't know if you can see that very easily or not. Get the right angle. You can see a couple of from the perforations in the pegboard. So I'm just going to trim this. These are nice curved Lexan scissors. So I'm using the plug as sort of a guide. I'm not really caring about it being too accurate at this point. I just wanted to kind of take a look. But you can see how it's kind of this faceted look. Where is the missile? Here we go. So the whole point is it would fit over the top like that. And so since it didn't quite pull down all the way quite right, it's a little bigger because you have this piece which gets glued on, sort of inner electronics, and then you got the clear piece that fits over. So when it's done, it'll look pretty neat, but I'm going to have to do another pull after I redo the plug. So it's getting there, but it's this may not do. I thought maybe I could get it to work a little bit, but it looks like a dented window. So yeah, that's. But not a lot of times when vacuum forming, it's gonna take a couple of pulls to get things right, to get the right heat. I may have to stick it in the oven or use a heating element or something. I have a heater. No, that's close enough. So, back to the drawing board a little bit. Look at this guy, poor guy. I have a friend of mine that does a lot of vacuum forming. I may ask him if he has any recommendations, something I can cover it with to kind of. First thing I'm gonna do is print it solid. I didn't print it solid. That was a dumb thing. So somebody says, why vacuum form it and not 3D print it? Well, the reason why I'm vacuum forming it because I wanted it clear. You can't really 3D print clear. So I 3D printed the nose, vacuum formed, and then I'll get a clear lens over it. So, so this works. It's just that either I have to do one or two things. Reprint this and reprint it solid, of course, but not run the heat gun over it while it's being vacuum formed. What I'll have to do is probably just make sure this is really, really nice and hot in the area I'm going to vacuum form. Maybe I might make a mark. That's what I need to do because I was kind of guessing where it's going to be. So next time what I'll do is I may take a Sharpie and just put a dot, and it's right where I need to heat up, and then I'll get it, the whole area nice and hot. The thing is sagging really good, and then flip it over and vacuum form it real quick instead of constantly applying heat to it and having it deformed. Because it worked great for the first 10, 20 seconds. It was when I continued to put heat on it that it started deforming, and that's that was my mistake. I wasn't thinking. But hey, now like I said, it's a learning process. Live and learn. Using 3D printed parts to vacuum form is a learning process. And so I have more plastic sheets, so I will do it again. And whatever solution I come to, you'll probably see on a video I do with it. So, but I wanted you guys to see the vacuum forming process and how it works. It's like, as you see, it's one of those things that's easy to do, a little more difficult to master, if that makes any sense. But it reminded me, I wanted to show you, I have done stuff before. Let me turn this off here. If I can remember what I did with it, give me a second. I found a piece of something. I'll show you. What did I do with it? I found it while cleaning up, and now I know. Here it is. So this is a plug I used on a vacuum forming machine some time ago, some years ago, really. And this is made out of balsa wood. And it's balsa wood, and then I was kind of lazy. I just sanded it down, and I think I put some mold release agent on it. But more or less, that's all I did. I didn't do anything fancy with it. I wasn't trying to win any awards. And so I made a nice big blank because I was scratch building an aircraft and needed a cowl. And there was no cowl available. So I said, well, I had the vacuum machine. Let me try it. So what I did is I built, let me go get the plane. And here it is. I believe this is called a Swami. And it's got a couple cracks in it. But this is the cowl I vacuum formed with this plug. That's the very same vacuum form machine you saw using styrene. I forgot, maybe 20,000 or 15,000 styrene. And I think I did it only 1 or 2 pulls. It didn't take very long. And yeah, it looks, it's a little rough and wear. The paint's starting to chip off a little bit, but the cowl has served me really well. And it was really neat. I cut a little hatch on the top so I can access the batteries. Here, if I can pull it off. There we go. There's a little hatch that I cut into there with a tape hinge and some magnets. And sorry if you can't see the plane. This is it's a converted free flight design. Yeah, let me put the camera back up. Yeah. There we go. Here we go. Stand back. So there we go. Here we go. It had a neat, our club was having some sort of competition where we're doing sort of a branch of Society of Antique Modelers. And we had a kind of climb and glide with old design. This is like a 1930s era design, which I thought was really neat looking. So I scratch built this. I found the plans online, and I just went to just bought Balsa and hacked away at it and built it, covered it with this light span stuff that I hate, and vacuum formed my own cannon cowl for it. And I fly it every once in a while. It's a neat plane. It's being an old free flight conversion. It's kind of weird in that it doesn't like to fly very fast. So when you launch it, it just wants to go like this, just go straight up. But you back the power off, it settles into a really nice glide because it's got a lifting tail. And so you just kind of do a gentle climb, cut the throttle. It's got twin rudders, as you see on there. It's funny because the rudder's got a little bit of play because I've got these flex rod that snakes through. And actually, normally it would be annoying because you can't get a really good centering on the rudder. But in this model, it works perfect because I can kick in a little rudder and then let go of the transmitter, and it'll just do a slow circuit by itself. So I could take it up, fly it, cut the throttle, kick in a little rudder, and just set the transmitter on the ground, and it'll just do a slow circle without me doing anything and just kind of really settle into a nice glide. It's a really neat plane to fly. So I just wanted to talk about the vacuum forming and give you guys some ideas, perhaps. Will I put this back up? All right. So did I miss anything in the chat? Actually, nope. Same motor. Let's see. Okay, Horror Gamer. I won't repeat that. Let's see. Somebody asked me about the 3D printer. There's so many different 3D printers out there. They're all pretty good now, so I'd hate to say one over the other. Probably the one with the best online support. So the Crealties probably are really, really good start. The price points are really low, huge support. I don't have one, but I have friends that have one. I have a Prusa and a Prusa clone that I use personally, and they're really, really good as well. Let's see what else. I had to dip for a while. Where did Fitz get the plastic, did he say? Oh, I didn't say where I got the plastic. I actually got the plastic from a local hobby store. So you can see it can be kind of tricky to find, especially in the size I need. Some hobby stores will have it in smaller sheets a lot. I think, who's a company that makes these? Evergreen, I think, is a company that makes styrene sheets like this. There's a hobby store out here in Houston that has, it's called G&G Hobby. and they're neat in that they have a lot of art supplies as well, or some more, not really art supplies, architecture supplies kind of. And so they sell sheets. I'll show you one. A nice big sheet of plastic. Like this, I was able to get from them in different thicknesses. This is actually 30 thousandths. I think it's a little too thick for what I'm doing. So you probably can find it online too. I imagine Amazon or somebody has it if you can't get it from your local hobby store. I only know one hobby store has it, and I think it's just an unusual thing. That particular hobby store is known being close to, I think, Rice University, and I think there's a lot of architecture students that go there. And so he's got an unusual supply of some stuff. So I really don't know where else you would get it. Just poke around online. I think it was 15 thousandths for that vacuum forming, and that's probably on the edge of being too thick. I had the thing right here. Yeah, 15 thousandths. It doesn't have a company name, it just has a number, CP517. I don't know if that means anything. Oh, I like the new design. Did you get the plans from Aero Fred? No, I think that like some guy in Sandy says Outer Zone. I think is where I got it. I poked on an Aero Fred, but their user interface is horrible and confusing, and I don't know what I'm doing when I go there. So I use Outer Zone is far more cleaner and user friendly to me, at least. I guess he's talking about the Swami. Let's see what else. I thought I saw something. Oh, John, what are your new planes to build? Yes, I do, but I can't tell you what it is at the moment. We talked about it a little earlier. So I do have another project I'm working on. I talked about a Gillow Spitfire I think I'm going to work on. And there was something else. Oh, I still have the Schweitzer 126 also I want to work on. I've actually got a table I want to be building for that. So I got several projects I need to work on, but I got a big one that just came in, so I got to devote all my time for that. And the other ones will have to slip in when I can. But now that I have more table space, I can actually work on multiple projects at the same time. I'm really happy about that. And that's something I've been wanting to have for a long time. I think I found that having good organization and a good system, I guess you could say, I think really helped me with getting things done in a more timely manner. Okay, see you later, Hal. I just saw you. You're bugging out. Have I built the 1800 millimeter Cub from Balsa King, Hobby King? No, I haven't. But the Cubs are usually pretty basic designs, so give it a shot. So what are you doing tonight? Is that for me? Fiercely taking notes. SIG has a part number on their website. SIG for what? Oh, for the sheet plastic? Okay. Dope. Awesome. Marcus. Oh, yeah, no problem, Marcus. Yeah, that's I'm happy to help you guys. Anything? Ask any questions you have, throw them in the chat. I'll try to answer them best I can. I don't know everything, but sometimes I can put you in the right direction. Let's see. Thanks for doing the stream. Happy Saturnalia. We survived Saturnalia. What did I do with this? Let's see what else. Do you will print another plane from Honduras? Well, I won't print any planes from Honduras. 17 by 17. Oh, 15, 17 by 17. That would work. My vacuum former needs a weird size. It needs like 8 by 11 or something, 8.5. So, yeah, not quite 8.5. It's like 8.25 by 11.5 is what the sheet is. And it's an odd size. It's almost the size of A size paper in the US, but not quite. Ours is 8.5 by 11, right? And this is just over 8.25 by 11.5. it's like, why would you do that? Why make it an odd, weird size like that? At least make it a paper size of a standard sheet of paper or something. I don't know. But thanks, guys, in the chat for helping them out. Thanks for answering those questions. I guess Jose's asking if I will print another plane. Well, I still need to do part 2 of the stream, which is right there. I actually had a boo-boo with it, and so I had to do some minor repairs, and so I'm waiting for a good day to take it up again and try to fly it. So that's a 3D printed plane. I don't know if I do have another 3D printed plane I do want to do. I just haven't had a chance to get to it. I started printing it, and I was having some issues with my settings, and sort of put it on a side, and it's still a side. So, but I'll eventually do another 3D printed plane. Yeah. But you saw the stream, you saw the build video of the stream. And if you remember, I was using LWPLA, which is a new filament that is almost half the weight of regular PLA. Stuff is really nice. The settings on the printer is a little different to do it. But it's really, really light and seems reasonably durable. Now, this plane, they actually have some carbon rods in the wings to strengthen it up, because I think I did notice that the LWPLA is a little spongier. It's sort of more malleable, I guess you could say. It's not quite as stiff. So they needed to put some stiffening rods and stuff in it, which is okay. It's just a rod, still very light. So this is ready to go whenever I get a chance to fly it. So one of these days I get around to it. Apologize to Eclipse and Company, but I don't know what else. Anything else to talk about? I think I'm running out of things to talk about. I will give a shout out to. We were talking about vacuum forming. I am an amateur, know nothing when it comes to vacuum forming, but if you ever heard of Park Flyer Plastics, it's run by a good friend of mine, Keith Sparks. Look him up. He's a professional vacuum former, and I asked him if he could clone some canopies for me. Well, he sells canopy. He does vacuum forming professionally as a side business, and he's got an industrial size vacuum former size this table. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he probably is laughing at me when he sees his video of all the amateur mistakes I just made. So he knows how to make really good plugs and all kinds of neat stuff. Excuse me. And I had a couple of kits that he likes to have canopies for vintage kits for people that scratch build. So if you scratch build, how are you going to get a canopy for something that was made in 1982, right? So you find some old RCM plans. Oh, this is a cool plane, but where am I going to get a canopy? I'm going to have to make a plug and this and that. It's got to be a pain. And so I had a couple of old kits, including one of the first planes I ever had. And it's one of those things I'd love to have an extra canopy or two in case whenever I build it, in case I crash it or I want to build another one. And so he was able to clone some canopies for me. So he can take the original canopy, make a plug, and now I have an extra set of canopies, and he has a plug, so you can now go to his website, parkflyerplastics.com, and find he's got an increasing line of canopies. And he also has stuff that's not on the website. So somebody send him an email and say, hey, do you have a canopy for this plane? He might just have it, because he says he's got a lot more than what's on the website, but he's always looking for more stuff. So I picked up a canopy this is called a Pelican, and one of the first planes I ever had, and I have a fondness for it. I wanted to build another one. We've got a House of Balsa P-51, turtleback and canopy, and he does really good work. Oh, and something really odd, a Gemco FW190. I have a Gemco FW190 wood kit that I got at a swap meet, and I thought it'd be nice to have actually the canopy came with was a little bit beat up, and so he was able to fix it up a little bit and give me a nice copy. So it's good to know that I have some extra canopies in case I mess one up or I crack one or something. So And he also has all kinds of vacuum form stuff and short kits. I'll put a link in the, see. There you go. Take a look at his website. You might find something you like. He's got mods for ARFs and stuff. And so I just want to give him a shout out and some appreciation for helping me out on that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, let's see, what else? Am I missing anything? I don't know. I hope you guys have good wishes for holidays. You got any hopefully get some new models or something on the wish list. Yeah, for the first time, I'm actually not sure what else I want to say. Nobody's mentioned the other thing on the table. Filling the nose of my Beach 18. Oh, really? You got a Beach 18. Nice. I like twins myself. Anybody guess what this is? Anybody guess? In the chat. Throw it in the chat if you know what this is. Besides, no cheeky comments that it's wood. Nice guess, Glenn, but you are wrong. There we go. All right. Buck and Daniel got it. It's a B25. This is something I've had for a while too, but I had no space to work on it. That was not a B17, but good guess. This is a B25 made by Wing Manufacturing, and I got this from a fellow club member some time ago, and I've been meaning to work on it. I just haven't had either the time, the space, or at the same time. And one of the advantages of organizing the workshop is now that I have some space, I can put this on the desk and I can tinker with it. Not something I'll be working on heavily, but it'd be nice to have it there staring at me saying, build me. So I can actually tinker with it and start working on it again. This is really neat. I never had a B25. This is a nice big model. This will be electric powered. And I haven't decided on a paint scheme for it yet. I'm looking for a good paint scheme, but I'm happy that I can actually pull out. It's funny. I pulled out the airframe and I couldn't find the box of the random parts or some cowls and instructions and stuff. I was like, where the hell is that box? And I looked, couldn't find it. And I finally found the box of the parts. And so it's all together now and I can start working on it. So this is basically how I got it. It's, I got to see some stringers I broke here. So it's one of those things that I've been meaning to work on. I've tinkered with it. I think I got some retracts I'm going to try to fit into it. And I need to just finish sheeting it and set it up. And just kind of just one of those things. Fiberglass that thing. I will probably fiberglass it, yes. That is the intent. I there's a lot of fiberglassing and ask him what he used. So I will fiberglass it and paint it so it won't be covering, not shrink covering, anything like that. It will be painted. I haven't decided on a paint scheme. I know B25 has had quite a variety of paint schemes, so we will see. And with any luck, it actually will drop bombs, but we'll see. So that is on the front burner, almost, so to speak. There's a tail piece. One of the things I will try to do is make the tail detachable. As I often joke, my car is a little bit small. So it'd be nice if the tail could come off and I can just screw it on or something. It makes it easier transportable. So this is one of those little personal projects. It's probably not going to be a big video or anything like that about it. I'll probably just tinker with it here and there. I might do a video when I finish it, flying it, but nothing special. Of course, somebody just says, hope you do a video on it. Well, think about it. I may do some sort of video on it, but it won't be a super video, I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know these things. I got to think on it. Sometimes I get busy with some other stuff. Sometimes I just want to do stuff and not have to worry about moving the camera all around all the time. This is made by Wing Manufacturing. That's actually the name of the company, Wing, W-I-N-G. I'm pretty sure they're no longer in business, but their kits show up every once in a while. They made a whole series of kits. Usually they have foam wings that are sheeted with balsa. In fact, this tail is foam and sheeted. They were fairly popular for a while, but as many things, people are not building as much anymore. It's got this odd bell crank system here for the rudders. Not sure if I'm going to do that or not, but the person I got it from had already started building it, so there's some stuff I may be locked into doing unless I really want to do a lot of modifications. 8 each M8 Brownings up front and personal. Yes, that's the nice thing about B25s. There were some versions that had a lot of guns. What was it, like 12 guns that can point forward? I mean, if you got in front of that, you were obliterated. So this was a mean machine. So I haven't decided. I think we're going to do the glass nose, so I may be limited how many guns I can point forward. But it had ballistic side guns, the turret. It won't have the ones in the front. So with the glass nose. But maybe I'll do glass nose, maybe I won't. I haven't really decided yet. So, but that's one of those things you decide last, almost. You plan to go to Perry swap meet next year? Actually, interesting you asked that, because a friend of mine, Lee, was just talking about that, how we were actually seriously thinking of taking a road trip to Perry, Georgia next year for the swap meet. So there is a very good chance I will be going to Perry. If I can work it out and he can work it out, we'll do a road trip, and that'd be nice. We can share driving kind of stuff. So I've never been to Perry, so I heard it's a fantastical swap meet. Not that I need to buy any more planes, but it's something that I would really like to see. So even sort of little stuff. Sometimes swap meets are good for finding tools. I like small engines. Glenn was asking when Perry. I'll tell you that in a second. Is it March? Oh, February 26th through 27, looks like. So there's a good chance. If I haven't mentioned already, stay tuned to the RC Roundtable. Light on? Oh, I unplugged it. And we will talk about that. If we do go, we'll mention it on our podcast. There we go. And if we do, hopefully I can go. We'll let you know. 26, 27. Would be cool. Yeah, Jake, it would be also very cool to meet anybody that's a fan of the channel. No, Glenn, it's in Georgia. Perry, Georgia. So it's a bit of a trip. I think it's a good Georgia. It's probably 12 hours from here in Houston. I know this is the Glenn I think it is. You're Mr. Glenn, and also in Houston here. So it's going to be a trip. What is RC Roundtable? It is a podcast. Podcast related to RC models. I am one of the co-hosts on it. So go ahead, download some episodes, take a look, and you'll hear me and two of my other buddies, and we talk about RC model stuff. And sometimes we have guests on and all kinds of neat stuff. And so we talk about our plans on there. And so, yes, let's go by. So I'll show you one other thing I've talked about on the podcast before is an old Kyosho plane. If you guys, this is something, this is a time machine. Back in the good old bad old days of electrics, this is probably circa late 1980s, early 1990s of electrics. This is before you had brushless motors, before you had lithium polymer batteries, even before much of the lightweight electronics we have now. This is an old school electric aircraft that I picked up from somebody, and this is really neat. And I want to show you something. The plane itself is, not terribly remarkable. It's just a nice sport plane. Although it does have a sort of a plastic fuselage, but it's got a built-up wing on it. But The power setup you might find interesting in that it's an RC car motor, just a brushed motor with a gearbox on it, and it runs off a 6-cell, 6 or 7-cell nickel metal hydrides or NiCads. Back when this came out, there were no nickel metal hydrides; it was NiCads. 6-cell, 1200 milliamp hour NiCads, RC car battery pack. If you were a little more adventurous, you could put in, say, a 1000 milliamp hour pack for a little bit of lighter weight at the expense of runtime. So this is, when I got this, I thought, this is really neat. So I actually intend to fly it on this motor and power system. Yeah, yes, got about, yeah, there was a lead sled, but I want to see how much of a lead sled it is. So I want to fly it on this power setup and on a 7-cell NiCad, or probably nickel metal hydride in this case. 7-cell nickel metal hydride and this brush motor, just to see how much of a lead sled it was. Because I actually tried electrics back in the late 80s, early 90s, and with various success and unsuccess. And so it's going to be really neat. And use a speed controller. I'll probably use an old RC car speed controller. Oh, no, not RC car. I still have some brush speed controllers back in the drawer somewhere. I kept some from the old days. So back and before these, somebody in the comment, if you're not familiar, what he called it a lead sled. These were heavy planes. You got this big, heavy NiCad battery pack, this kind of a heavy motor. You didn't really have micro servos. It was, electrics back then were just barely functional. A lot of times they had, basically powered gliders or something like that. This has an actually pretty generous wingspan on it, so it probably did pretty good for its type back then. So this is, I really look forward to that. Hopefully I'll have a video of my experiences on this thing. Don't know when I'll get to it, but it is really cool. I like some of the old Kyosho planes. You guys might get a kick out of that. In fact, you can see on the box, there you go. Side, there's the battery pack. Sits in the cockpit. That's actually good. It's over the wing. That means if I do put a lithium in there, I don't have to worry about CG or bouncing because it's basically on the CG. And there's there. And you can see some of the bits and pieces. It actually looks like a nice little plane. Let's see. Electrify Lancer. Yes, we just got one. Oops. Yeah, maybe these models. Oh, really? Lance Air ES. Lance Air. Sounds familiar. Oh, okay. Somebody remembers the Canon radios. Yes, Canon. Also, what was it? Airtronics. Airtronics / Cox radios had some micro servos. I thought I had one somewhere. I remember years ago. What did I do with it? I think I remember I put my servos. They had some, well, I guess they were called mini servos now. And I remember buying a couple used for quite a bit of money back in the early 90s because I wanted to, for like Spitfire conversion. Excuse me while I walk off camera. I was looking for, hope I didn't need that, for one of those servos. I thought I had one. I wanted to show you guys. Since I'm going back in time. I think this is it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yep, that's it. Lost the label. Just going to pull a high-tech. Yeah, high-tech HS81. How about that? So, actually, it's not that bad. So this is a high-tech HS81. It's missing the little spindle. And this is an old Airtronics micro servo. I bought this in the early 90s. And surprisingly, they're roughly the same size. I thought it was a little bigger, but they're actually quite close in size. But 2 generations removed, this, I'm pretty sure the high-tech is twice the power, and it was a third the price versus this old Airtronics one. Although I think this Airtronics one still works. Pretty sure it's actually still work, but it was this was my very first micro servo I ever bought. and I didn't buy it new because they were way too expensive at the time. But I needed a lightweight servo, and I was able to find a couple. So we have so easy nowadays. We have inexpensive, high quality servos, very lightweight. Same thing with radios, motors, and stuff. It's much more plug and play nowadays. Still flies Airtronics, really. Airtronics are very good radios. There was nothing ever wrong with Airtronics. I used a lot of Airtronics back in the day, mainly for cars. I did have a couple Airtronics aircraft radios before going to 2.4. Even their 2.4 radios are bulletproof. They just never kind of kept up with the changing technology and the user interface. A club member has a nice Airtronics, was it 10G or something like that? Very nice radio, but it's got a little tiny little LCD screen and there's a couple of buttons, and it's just it's not very user friendly, and it never came up with something nice with a touch screen or a big screen color. So, Airtronics just kind of flopped, and so they shut down their line. They're actually in Japan. They're called Sanwa, and I believe that company does a bunch of other stuff. So I think it's just a side thing for them. Oh yeah, somebody in the chat says Sanwa. Yep. Just upgrade Airtronics RDS. You probably find electronic stuff cheap now. Everybody's switching over to a lot of the other stuff. I remember servos and receiver and a kit with a radio. Yeah, most radios used to come with as a box with a receiver, the servos, battery pack, and transmitter all as one thing. You want to see it really old? I have a little museum of transmitters. I need to get rid of some of these, but the thing is, with old transmitters, what are you going to do with them? Nobody wants them. You can't give them away. So I don't know. Sometimes I look at them to gawk at. I have a couple of transmitters that are real special to me. I don't want to get rid of them. So while we're talking about it, this is an old Airtronics RC Car Radio. It's just a 2-channel. But the significance of this is the very first hobby quality RC transmitter I ever had. I got this when I was a wee young lad for my Tamiya Frog. So when I got the Frog, I got this transmitter. And I have no idea if it still works. It's old, and it's for good no batteries in it. It probably still works. I mean, these were good radios. This is the Airtronic SR series. It's all worn off. I just noticed that this gimbal is upside down. What happened is there's no servo reversing. Looks like there's a spot for a couple of switches, but they weren't in there. So you either had to mechanically reverse the servo on the servo itself, or what I did is I just flipped the gimbal 180 degrees, and so that reversed the steering. So that one meant a lot to me. And I've got another Airtronics. This one is an old. This is I think a 6-channel. Is it 6-channel? I believe it is a 6-channel. So 4, the dual rate, yeah, 6-channel. This is old. I got this a little later, and this one I flew aircraft on, and I think this was one of the first multi-channel aircraft radios I got. So I had the normal 4. It's got a gear switch. I guess that's a trainer, an auxiliary. This one I always kind of like in a way because it's got a little hideaway for the antenna, and if you pull these 2 tabs off on the bottom, you can pull the back cover off like that to access the servo reverse switches right here. There's a couple of to reverse the channels on 4. I don't know why they did all the switches, all the channels, but the 4 core functions. It has reverse switches built in to the back cover. And this is really old school. You can see all the old electronics. There's some tuning pots and coils. And there's a crystal. Remember, all these radios use crystals on them. I just, one of those radios, it's still got a battery in it. Why does it have a battery? The needle didn't move. I'm sure the battery's long dead. But this is a neat radio. I used it for a lot of stuff. I think I used it for, there's a little thing on there. Little bug or something. I don't know. Anyways, I think I used it for planes and cars, or not cars, like boats. I did boats and stuff with it. So yeah, these are some old collectible radios. I don't know why, they just hang with me for years. Kind of sentimental value. No real practical use anymore. But we were talking about Airtronics. These are some of the old Airtronics. These are great radios. And I had a Airtronics car radio too with a single steering wheel on it. I had another radio which I still had. I don't know what happened to it. It was a Aristocraft / high tech. It was like a gold case. It was it was like a 7-channel radio too. Let's see. I don't remember servos, receiver. Grow pork chop sideburns. It's kind of a barrier. I had an issue with it though. Yeah. Like I said, the program was clunky, but the technology behind the radios were really good, very good. Jake, no, I don't really schedule my live streams. They're kind of spontaneous. Sorry. I literally just decide the day before or something. It's like, I haven't done a live stream. Maybe I should do a live stream, or I realize I need to do it, or I'm sorry, I don't do them regularly. I didn't want to clutter the channel with a whole bunch of live streams, so I don't schedule them at the same time. It's more or less when I have something I want to talk about. I thought that might be interesting to you guys. Sorry. What I may try to do is vary the times so they're not always at night or something. I know this is like Monday night. It's getting kind of late anyway, so it'll probably end pretty soon. Maybe I'll do one on a weekend in the morning or something, because sometimes I get people from overseas, and like you said, you're in your shop as well. So I figured Monday night before Christmas, probably a lot of people not really out doing a lot of stuff. Wait a minute, before Christmas, they're probably out shopping. Don't. All right. Well, anyways, let's read through the chat real quick. All right. See you later, Quinny Perks. Thanks for joining. What sorcery is this, huh? Oh yeah, for Airtronics is still available in Europe. Really interesting. Thanks, streams. I got a lot of it as always. Catch you later. Oh, really? Well, happy you guys can catch some stuff out of there. Even from my mistakes, sometimes you learn from failure or semi-failure. Where did it go, anyways? From the warped failure. You can see that. I don't think I ever showed it to you. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining. Let's see. Tuesday morning here in Bangkok. Oh, wow. One night in Bangkok makes the tough man tumble. Wow, that's really neat. Man, I was so close to going to Thailand once, because I was over next door, or a couple of next doors. I was actually in a country real close, and it was sort of last minute things like, hey, I've never been to Thailand. I think at the time I had a friend that was living there and said, hey, let's go to Thailand, but we couldn't get a flight very easily, so we had to nix it, unfortunately. But I would have loved to. I heard the beaches are great there. Scatterbot, I guess you missed it earlier. I was talking about reviews. Yes, I have a big review that just plopped on it's on the floor right there in the box. I will show it to you. It's a box. There's my next review right there on the floor, and it's a big mother. I can't tell you what it is exactly at the moment, but all will be revealed in the fullness of time. So yes, I'll be working that over the holidays, and so hopefully sometime in January you get to see what it is. And it's neat. It's really neat, and it's kind of unusual. So that'll be really cool. In Vail this week found a restaurant called The Fitz. I don't know. Well, your name's not Fitz. I was in the airport in, I think it was St. Louis, Missouri, I think. And apparently there's a local soda company called Fitz something. Fitz's soda, Fitz's something like that. And I saw that. So I walked in and I showed a person my license. I said, "Hey, do I get a discount? My name is Fitz." And the person was like, no. But I bought it like a T-shirt and some root beer from them or something like that. Let's see. This week, hold on. Chat here. Oh, New Zealand. All right. Were you here before? I think I had somebody else from New Zealand that came in. Yeah, it's a beautiful country, great people, and better food. Oh yeah, Thailand. Yes. Yeah, I like the food. If it's anything like the Thai restaurants, I know the ethnic restaurants sometimes are not quite authentic here in the States, but I do like Thai food quite a bit. So I can imagine. I heard you can go just walk down a street and find some really good street food in Thailand. Zoom in on that sticker. I ain't zooming in on nothing. Use your imagination. My first radio was an Mrc F710 5 channel on 27 megahertz, 1972. Oh man, those are CB frequencies. Those 14, I still have it. Yeah, there's something kind of special about those old radios. They're useless, kind of. Well, not useless. I mean, you can still use them, but it's dinosaur tech. But it's just neat. Just memories. It's really just sort of it's almost like an heirloom or something. You still have the channel flags, the clip-on antenna. I think I do have a channel flag somewhere. It might be in that drawer. I never used channel flags personally. I never saw the use of them. You just most clubs had frequency flags, so kind of pointless. I'm looking here, see if I find one. I don't see one. I did find a couple other things. I'll show you. Here's somebody said MRC. Here's an Mrc Car Radio. Although it's not on 27, this was on 75. And here is the receiver case. I told you about that old the Aristocraft radio. Here's the receiver. I don't know why I have the receiver case. This was a neat radio, 620. This was, I think, the first 6-channel. Was the first one? I can't remember. One of the first radios I bought for an airplane. 6 channels. It was incredibly cheap for the time because Futabas were really expensive. Futabas, Airtronics were really expensive. JRs were expensive. But this high-tech company came out with a radio. I was like, it's 6 channel. It is like half the price of all the other radios I needed for my airplanes, and I was getting into the helicopters too. So it was the colors were hideous. It was like this weird green color and gold, but I still had a fondness for the radio, and it had odd connectors. Didn't use the standard size connectors, but it worked really well. I never had any problems with it. But it's lost to time, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh yeah, Fitz's root beer. That's what it was. Yeah, Fitz's root beer, St. Louis. I have some Fitz's root beer. I had to get the root beer, and these are a hat or a T-shirt I picked up. I can't remember, but it's in the closet. I don't even wear it because I don't want to wear it out. But I saw that. It's like, oh, that's cool. Do I get a commission? 72 megahertz lead. Yeah. There's still some people in my club that run 72 megahertz radios. I see them every once in a while. You walk out to the field and you're like, something's not right. Oh, yeah. He's got a giant antenna hanging off his radio. It's like, what are you flying with that old dinosaur? It works. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. It works. If it's not broken, don't fix it, I guess. Yeah. So nothing wrong with that. So, although the submarine guys still need to use those old radios because you can't use 2.4 submarines. So I have a couple like that I keep around just for that purpose. All club trainers are still 72. Huh, interesting. Well, like I said, if it works, it's cheap. Especially for a trainer. Whatever. The radios are, people practically give them away. So if a student does something bad to the radio, yes, usually that's what they're fishing for. Yeah, it's funny how things have changed. These old antennas. Oh, yeah, I haven't played this radio in a long time. I actually have an old Futaba car. Has a module. Yeah, it's over there, old Magnum. I thought it'd be neat to still use just for giggles, or put a module on it for 2.4 and use it. The old radio with new technology. But anyways, yeah, it's I've been in the hobby for a while, so you start collecting this stuff. Always kind of like the utilitarian simplicity of this radio. No model memory. The model memory is change the trims. In fact, if you see, I have pieces of tape on the trims so that when I did change models, at least I knew where to put the trims back. Yeah. So, all those days, it's not something I want to go back to. I like my computer with the gimbals that we have now. You saw, I recently picked up the NX6, the NX series from Spectrum. This one's pretty nice. I got the foldable antenna. I did a live show on this one before, so I'm not gonna really get into it, but I've been using it on and off for quite a while. I have an 8-channel, so a lot of my models I need the 8 channels to do stuff, or the mixing and stuff. But I've been using this for some secondary planes, and the biggest thing I like is the display. Display has a faster refresh in color, and so they did a real good job in updating the display on it. And so, if you're definitely something to consider. Yes, Scatterbot, that is a B25. I was just talking about that earlier. That was Wing Manufacturing B25. So a project I'm planning on working on and off next year. Hopefully I'll finish it or get a good chunk of it. Actually, I do need to finish it so I can take it to Bomber Field next fall. Joseph, NX6. Yeah, I like it quite a lot. It's a check out my other live stream where I took it out of the box and kind of did an overview real quick. But since then, I found new features that I found on it. Namely, it's neat. You can assign different colors to different models, so you can have each model can have its own unique color palette, so to speak. I still haven't gotten around to hooking up the Wi-Fi to it yet. I keep procrastinating on that, but it's nice. The Wi-Fi, you can download preset models for all their buy and fly aircraft from Horizon. So if you don't want to do the setup, you just plug into the Wi-Fi, download the models, and copy it over to memory, and then you're done. You don't have to do. I was talking to a club member about that because he's like, "Oh, I don't want to have to do the setup and stuff." I was like, "Well, the new radios, you can either use it's got an SD card slot as well, or use the Wi-Fi and do that." So it's the gimbals feel fine. I actually did go in and start adjusting the ratchet. On my airplanes, I like a little bit of a ratchet, just a very slight ratchet. When I got it, didn't have any ratchet. And so just me. So I was able to go in and tweak it a little bit, just get a slight ratchet, but they feel fine. I've been flying it for several planes. I've been flying some of my glow planes on it, so it's got a little bit of glow fuel remnants on it. But press the button. If you can see that, got little beeps. I haven't really played with the voices and stuff yet on it for the most part, but as for functions, it's been bulletproof, easy to program. It's got some little extra features, and like I said, I really like the display. The display is quite a bit better than my DX8 G2. Both not only just the colors, but the refresh rate. On the LCD, sometimes when you're scrolling real fast, it gets kind of blurry. The DX8 will get a little bit blurry sometimes. This one doesn't do that. It is much better, even though the screen is a different shape. I think that the LCD display is quite a bit better on this one, on all the NX series. So the only thing is they've got kind of an odd price point between the 6 and the 8. If you can swing extra, what is it, $30-$40, I would get the 8. just my opinion. Not that the 6 is bad. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But with the 8, you get, of course, 2 more channels, but you also get more mixing options and a couple of extra features. So that's just my quick thoughts. And yeah, it's got an interesting button. You got to press down on the little spectrum icon, press and hold, and it'll shut down. And you can hear it go dee dee dee. And you can change the tones too. It's got different tones that user selectable. And it's got more pictographs for the types of planes. So, but I think the 6s came out first. These are first, and I think the 8s and the 10s are coming out later. And I did get the extra battery. It comes with a single cell battery, but you can upgrade to the 3-cell battery for extra capacity. So I did get the 3-cell battery, and I haven't charged it yet. I charged it once, and that was like 2 months ago. And it's been to a couple of fly-ins and some other stuff in a few outlets. So it's got really good runtime. Oh, yeah, and I guess if you're an FPV person, they've got this, I forgot what they call it, a data port. The guys that like to do head tracking and that kind of stuff. So if that's important to you, look that up. I'm not an FPV person, so I don't know a whole lot about just one of those things I never really got into that much. I do have a drone, an FPV drone, and I've done a little bit with aircraft, but it's just not something I never really got into. All right, Scott, about the Pro Kit. Oh, for the B7, I don't know. I don't think it's Pro. It's an older one. I got it half built, so it just says B25J. This is the instructions, basically. It has plans too, but it's basically just a whole bunch of words. Do this, do that, make plane. So there's not a whole lot of pictures. So I'm going to have to go through and just kind of take my time, maybe look at what people have done online. They got an example of some paint schemes. So, to look forward to doing it, though. I'm not going to need a big bomber. I don't think I've ever had a bomber. Well, I had a UMX B-17 once, but I don't think that counts. Would you mention doing a video installing a Bowman ring on a gas engine? I've never done a Bowman ring, so it'll be a learning process. That might screw it up. So, no, sorry. I might be interested in doing it, but I don't know if you learn anything from me. All right, Marcus, thanks for joining. Have a Merry Christmas. In fact, it's top of the hour, actually, so I think I will be cutting out myself. I think I've exhausted everything I need to talk about, and I've messed up my workbench again, so I need to do a quick clean up here. But I want to thank everybody for joining in. It's been a great chat. It's always great chatting with you guys, hearing from people from all over. I think we had Thailand. I don't think I've had anybody from Thailand before, but Brazil. So thanks, guys. I will do it. You produce it. Okay. Well, Peter, I think you're local, right? Maybe shoot me an email. Maybe we can work something out. Yeah, guys, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for watching my channel and giving me such great feedback. I really appreciate it. And thanks for being there and not throwing insults at me. And I look forward to next year. I know 2020 has been sort of a dumpster fire during a flood as an earthquake is going on, but we're still, as long as we have our health and family and stuff, I think we're all good. I really look forward to 2021. So new projects as well, and new videos, of course, and to see what life brings us, right? So thanks, guys, for joining the live chat. And I hope you have a good holidays and get the presents that you wish for. And if you don't, just go buy them. And any last things in the chat? I'll give you about 10 seconds to give me the last things before I cut out. But everybody, thanks so much. We had a good group of people join in to see me mess up by vacuum forming a 3D printed part. Next time I'll give a little more forethought. But hey, you will see in the video for the A10 how it turns out. Still was a lot of fun. All right, everybody. Until next time, I will see you next year. Maybe I'll have another live show in January, post-Christmas special. See what kind of new toys you got. Maybe new toys I got. Until then, take care and be safe.